Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. How are we all doing here on this Tuesday morning? This is Reganelite here. As you can see, we're a couple minutes early because there is actually a couple of things I wanted to touch on before we start on the usual stuff, guys. But welcome to Good Morning with Reganelite here on the 30th of September 2025 at 11 a.m. We're on the eve of October, guys. Already. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Can you believe that, guys? Hope you guys enjoyed Davey's show. For those who came from there, Billy Kershaw, Stephen Banker, Alison Keir, Person Impersonator, Von Eric, and Stephen Banker. Good to see you all. Hope you are all doing well. Kirsty there as well. I just seen just pop up in the chat. Yes, good to see you guys. So before we get started on the usual stuff, like I said, I started a little bit early because I kind of wanted to just touch on this. So last night, I had a discussion on Discord with a few people. Not going to name names, but one of the things that brought up that really, and I don't like to use the word anger, but it really did get to me, was the comparison that the Green Party's policies are more Liz Truss-esque. Now, look, I will say this about, I want to touch on a bit about all political parties, really, to be fair. I think we're all united in how we feel about the Conservatives. I think those here in the chat are pretty much united how we feel about reform. Our friend, some of us may have indifferences about how we feel about the SNP or about the Greens, and there's some indifferences about the Labour Party. And you know what? That's fine. That's totally fine to have those indifferences. I think that's really, really good. I don't accept the premise that Labour are a centre-left party, and that's fine. Some people will disagree with that. I've based on what I've read, what I've heard, and what I see. I don't feel that's the case. That's just my personal opinion. But some people still feel that way, and that's fine. But the thing is that one of the things that really I didn't watch too much of it, but I've been listening to a lot of people, what sort of little clips here and there about the Labour conference, right? And here's the thing, like, when you hear consistently about some of the policies, some of the really bad policies that Labour are doing, you have to ask yourself, why are people still supporting this party? And what really infuriates me is that there are people who are vermin defenders of Labour to basically will fall on their stall for that party. And granted, yes, they have, they have done some good policies, but some of the thing that really irritates me more than anything, right, that those who are defenders of Labour, right, is they are silent when it comes to the kind of the nasty policies that Labour have tried to implement. Like this, I'll use the disability one as a prime example, right? You really want to be out there. You really want to, be a political party that makes changes for the goods. And granted that no political party in government is always going to get things right. And they're always going to implement policies that you're not always going to agree on. And I accept that. I'm sure that many people who are supporters of the SNP, supporters because mainly obviously of Scottish independence, you're going to tell me in the chat that every single policy that the SNP has ever implemented has been perfect and has made you happy? They're not always going to be perfect, are they? And there is no such thing as a perfect political party. There are flaws. But when you introduce a policy like threatening to take away the disability of the entitlement benefits for disabled people, and the worst part about it is that you're not even going to consult the very people you're taking this away from. That speaks a lot of volumes about Labour. And it's infuriating when I hear things like that. Those people who talk about, and I'm not going to name YouTubers' names because there are some YouTubers out there who are staunch defenders of them. And when they talk about, like, oh, it's all right, Labour are doing this, basically either they're not answering the questions on them, or they're just trying to, like, blank it out of their head sort of thing. It really does infuriate me. The thing is that the Green Party, right, we in England, I want to talk about specifically in England. I can't speak for Scottish Greens, only you guys can speak, for friends up in Scotland can speak for them. You guys up there can speak for them. Now, I'm not a Green Party member. I've been critical of the Green Party, especially in the past. They had the whole issues around their policies around transgender people. There was a lot of that kerfuffle, and I talked about it and put it out there to show that, hey, even though I'm a big advocate for the Green Party and some of their policies, doesn't mean to say that I won't call out their BS. This is something that a lot of people who are deep hardcore supporters of Labour won't call out their own party for their own faults. And that makes them failures. It makes them stooges, shall we say, almost as far. Again, not naming names. And we don't know if the Green Party will ever get in England, will ever seize any power, ever have joint power or not. Like, it's way too far down the road to even see that right now. And is it possible that they will make mistakes? Absolutely. But I say to people who are really strong advocates and against Zach Polanski, right? I say to people, just, judge him on what he says, judge him on what he does. Yes, there are questions about his past, about why he joined the Lib Dems and left the Lib Dems, absolutely. But so far, he's doing everything that appeals to me, appeals to my politics, appeals to what I feel that England in particular is so desperately needing at the moment. That can change, but I think I think people really should just kind of like, okay, yes, he does have questions to answer, but I think there are some people some people are really trying to hurt Zach Polanski, and I just think it's like unless you're on the far right, that's a bit of a different story. But it's just like, judge him by his words and his actions. Like, that's the best way I will say about him on that. So we're gonna have disagreements, but I just think the comment that I heard last night in comparing Green Party politics to what would be like a Liz Truss crash, I think it's far too skeptical to say that, because I just it's not a fair, it's an unfair comparison, because the Green Party is controlled by its members to a certain extent, whereas the Conservative Party are controlled by millionaires, billionaires, private business owners who want to enrich themselves. That's not what the Green Party is about. So I think the comparison is a tad bit unfair. But anyway, thank you, Peter, for the £2 super chat. I just wanted to get that off my chest, guys. I needed, sometimes, when people get me angry, the best thing for me to do is just to walk away. That's what I did last night on the Discord chat. Eva Sanction, good to see you there. Hope you are doing well. Wayne Pagan, good to see you there. Hope you're doing well. Kirsty there, good to see you there. Yeah, thank you for that £2 super chat. Good morning, Peter. Hope you are doing well. Thank you for that super chat. Ellie, good to see you there. I hope you are doing well. And I first vote Green, always vote Green until 2014, and let my vote to the SNP. Yeah, that's because that's fair play. Honesty is fair play. Honestly, like I've always said to you guys, I'm not going to bullshit you guys. Like, my politics, like, I've only been in politics for what, 7-8 years. Like, I've not been doing this since I was young, guys. And I've gone from voting Labour to voting Conservative to voting. I've voted at least once for all different parties at some point in my life. Like, I voted one time for Lib Dems. I voted one time for the Conservatives. I voted one time for Labour. But the last couple of elections, I've just been voting Greens consistently for me. But it's different for everyone, Don't ask me why I voted Conservative. I was not deep into politics at the time, to be fair. Trip, good to see you there. I hope you are doing well. Remember, not everyone knows everything. Right, anyways, now that's nonsense out of the way. We're not going to cover too much of the weather because we covered some of it yesterday anyway, but here is today's daily quota. Here is today's daily quota, just for reference there, so I don't make these up there. And if you want to find out where you can get these as well, there you go, www.littlepennythoughts.com if you guys want one for yourself. I post these every day on social medias, on my socials, as well as on Discord. So here is today's daily quota. You may be the one person to the world, but you may also be the world to one person. You may be the one person to the world, but you may also be the world to one person. think we can all feel that one in some way, shape, or form, guys. That's for sure. I love tomorrow's one. The 1st of October's got a very nice quota for tomorrow. I'm looking forward to sharing that one with you guys tomorrow. That is for sure. Right, let's crack on, guys. Let's have a look at some of the weather. We will be covering UK news specifically today as well. And later on today at 6 o'clock, I'll be doing a live stream at 6 o'clock. Global news, guys. So I'll be talking about news outside the UK. So we'll be covering some of that stuff. We'll talk about the deal that Netanyahu and Donald Trump have done as well. We will talk about that later on today as well, among other things. So join me later on at 6 o'clock if you can as well. So let's have a quick look at the weather here. So here are some of the temperatures at the moment. Later on today at 7 o'clock here. Madrid, Lisbon, 21, 24. Nice, Rome, 21 there. Bern, Vienna, Zagreb, 10, 11, 12. Prague, 9. Berlin, 11. Brussels, Paris, 15, 15 respectfully. Oslo, nice and cold at 9. And London, 17. Manchester, 16. Belfast, 15. Edinburgh, 15. As you can see there's a huge wallop of rain coming over into Ireland, and it's going to hit Scotland overnight from 10 o'clock overnight. And it's going to come all the way over. Pretty much you're going to get a massive storm. North of England, pretty much most of Scotland is going to be getting a big pile of water. So do be prepared for that. If you are doing night shifts or anything like that, if you're doing like drives in the night and whatnot, do take caution. Just be careful out there. It's going to be wet. It's going to be miserable. So just be careful out there is what I have to say for people. So on that, it probably won't break up. Yeah, it's not going to break up until like even Wednesday morning. It's going to hit more of the north of England down there as well, and there's still going to be parts of Scotland that are still going to be wet on tomorrow as well. But as the day comes forward, most of that rain will start clearing up on Wednesday. More from 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock, it'll clear up, and you'll get a bit more clearer spaces. You might get some clouds, but temperatures as high as 17 degrees as high as 17 degrees in parts of the UK. They're 18 degrees, apologies. They're 17. Yeah, so some pretty okayish weather, shall we say, for Wednesday. But unless, obviously, if you're in the South Wales, south of England, Midlands and Wales, you're going to be pretty fine in terms of weather there. If we go into the next day on Thursday, we'll just have a quick look at Thursday before we move on. Here, we can see that we're still going to get some rain. Yes, this is going to come in overnight there. So early Thursday morning, again up in Scotland, maybe bits of England as well. North of England, we'll get some forecast of rain. Northern Ireland will also experience some of that as well in the early mornings. Temperatures 11 early morning of degrees, 15, 16 degrees in some parts of the UK. Temperatures as high as 19 degrees on Thursday in London. That's very highly unusual there. Thursday, 7 o'clock there, we can see a big storm coming over. Pretty much you can't even see Ireland from that there. So I imagine, yeah. So Thursday overnight, guys, to Friday morning, there's going to be, you basically, if you're doing night shifts or anything like that up in Scotland or England, pretty much any part of the UK, you probably want to be careful because there's going to be a lot of rain dropping there. So please be careful. And you can see again another storm coming in on Friday afternoon there. So yeah, Thursday, Friday is going to be a lot of rain. So please be careful on that, guys. So we'll keep an eye on that as we get closer to those days there, just for reference. Also, I want to point out today is also a very sad day. I found out this morning that my cinema, which is about I normally walk to it, but we can get a bus there to it. So where me and my partner used to rent the cinema there, apparently the building got set on fire this morning, which is absolutely devastating. And me and my partner loved going to the Odeon cinema there. It was a really nice building on the outside too, but apparently it's on fire this morning, which is really heartbreaking to hear. It's sad when something a local and it's not, and the building has a lot of history as well. That building, so it's very, very sad to hear about that. Right, let's start with the Times. We're going to go from opposite side here. So here's the Times. Let's see what they're saying here. In terms of policies, so West Streeting has ruled out VAT on private healthcare. The Health Secretary rejects the possibility of levy, while the Prime Minister will unveil a virtual hospital service during his speech at the Labour conference today. Yeah, we know that West Streeting has allegedly taken money from private healthcare companies And we know that American healthcare companies have some vested interests within our national healthcare service. We know that Platineer and its owner wants to have a full control of well, they already have the control to a certain extent, but they want to have they want control of all of our NHS data. They want all our information basically on us, all on one big fat one storage database. And Max did a great video yesterday talking about that possibility of having all of our data all in one place, which on the surface, as he said in his video, and I do recommend checking out Max Roberspear's video yesterday on it, which sounds good on paper in terms of getting access to all your medical procedures and whatnot, and using artificial intelligence to help recognize if you have a diagnosis and whatnot. But it puts your privacy data, puts it at risk, and is also at risk, and as well as all your information in one space, which means that if someone hacks into that system, that means they have all your data, which is really, really scary. And I don't like that at all. I think that's really, really scary. So Reeves hints taxes will rise in the budget. The taxes need to rise. I mean, I personally want to see more of the wealthy, wealth, or more taxes on the wealth. But one of the taxes that have been screaming about for ages and ages is a land tax. This is something that even Phil Morehouse has been advocating for, which we would like to see as well. So we are going to get tax rises in the budget. Unfortunately, it's going to be late November, which I think is bloody stupid. But we'll see what they are. Do I think, some middle-income earners are going to be hit by some tax rises? I do fear that's going to happen. The person the Home Office the day the Home Office tried to deport me, apparently. Labour's tough new conditions will not apply to migrants already in the UK. So they changed their position from the coverage that I had yesterday, apparently. Staber to unveil virtual hospital service in rebuilding Britain's pledge. Like, I'm all for the community idea, trying to help healthcare in communities rather than in hospitals. Anything that will help bring down the numbers in the hospitals, I'm all for that, especially for people who don't have serious conditions. If it can be dealt with within communities, I'm all for that. I really am, just to help get the numbers back down. Digital ID dead in the water in 6 months as opposition mounts. There, Farage's migrant policy is worse than racist, says Mahmoud. Yeah, the digital ID thing. Like, the thing is that if it was copying a lot of what European nations would do, probably would, and if it was portrayed to people in a lot better way, probably more people would probably be more wouldn't be so much hatred about it. The problem is of course that the way Keir Starmer announced it, the way it came out was really, really bad in my view. Just not appealing at all. Burnham plays down leadership a bit as he backs Starmer to stay. Yeah, he shouldn't get. He should just keep. He should. I think he's right not to give people a false hope. The fact that he's not even an MP right now, he should just. I think he's right. I think he's playing these cards carefully there, and Andy should not step into fire that is going to get him burnt basically. So what else have we got here? The cure for staff sickness: set up an office football team. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's one of the things that a lot of work practices do is set up a football team, and it's also good community building, especially considering that we're a footballing nation. So it's one of the things that also helps with work bonding and that as well. So setting up a football team, getting people on board, just to have a little bit of a laugh and a kick about. That's a good thing there. Any other interesting stories? Trans people to be barred from toilets of their chosen gender. Dave McGuinness touched on this on his show. I'm not gonna get any more into it there. George Galloway accuses airport police of stopping him to see his phone. Oh yes, the poor George Galloway, guys. I said this last night. Poor George Galloway. He got held up at the airport for 12 hours. Oh, my heart bleeds. Oh wait, my heart doesn't bleed for him. Oh dear. If only they had kept him in for 24 hours, guys, instead of 12 hours. Oh, dear, oh dear. Anyways, that's all from the Times there. Let's switch gears, guys. Let's have a look at the Reform graph, or the Tory graph, as it used to be called, or the Telegraph, if people want to call it by its real name there. What's that story there? They closed the Cineworld in Glasgow, says Kirsty. Oh, that sucks. That sucks there. LBTG, Judas Streeting. He's one of the main reasons I left Labour, says one angry pagan. Yeah. Yeah, I'll talk about Tony Blair later on the live stream later on today. Taxes do just what Scotland has 6 bands in Scotland, getting 14 billion extra out of the changes, says Alison Keir. Working is like marriage, it's just easier to stay doing the same thing, says Trip. Von Erich says, as an immigrant, I had to subject my biometrics. That is on the record. Just attach our ID and I numbers to biometrics. Problem solved there. Stephen Baker says, Birdham is making good and safe money in Manchester. No way he's going to rock that boat. Yeah, I think he's right not to make any moves right now there. Starmer considers surrendering weapons under Trump's Gaza plan. Again, I'm going to talk about this later on today. We're going to talk about it now. Labour's plans for maintenance grants will devastate universities. I can't open any of these stories because Telegraph want me to pay money to them, which I'm not prepared to do. And you guys shouldn't pay money for them either. This is pay away for nationwide federal facial reconciliation fallout. Unmanned killer submarines can win war in Ukraine. NHS rollout ovary cancer test for women with Angela Jolie genes. What? Farage is racist, suggests Streeting. Yeah, he is racist, but that can also backfire as well by calling him racist, even though we're calling him for what he is. Any other? Let's just go UK specifically here. Yeah, that's the story. Firefighters battle blaze near Odeon Cinema. I'm getting conflicting information there. This is the story that I mentioned about the cinema. So I haven't actually. I need to actually look at it myself rather than relying on other people. It's a disgrace. Labour runs Britain, says Israel. It's a disgrace that Israel runs Gaza. Calling me quirky is hurtful, says White Lewis actor. Farage run health curves would check your pockets before you pulse. Yep, they would. They would look for a reason to charge you for healthcare. They would force you to chair up there for that. I'm not going to cover that trans story from the Telegraph, especially on Scotland. No, they can not even going to give them the light of day for that. Let's have a look at the Financial Times. I can't open any of these articles as well, but we'll see what they're saying here. Contribution is a condition of staying in the UK, says the Home Secretary. Should be in line with plans to tighten rules for foreign nationals seeking permanent residency in Britain. Prices in UK shops rising at the fastest rate in 18 months. Industry figures show an rapid increase in food counteracts falls for other goods. The British Retail Consortium reports. I'm personally not seeing that rise in the shops yet. I'm personally not experiencing it, so only other people can speak for them. But I haven't seen that yet. So, but I do think that prices have gone up a little bit since in the last couple of years, but I haven't seen another rise yet. But I wouldn't be surprised if other people are feeling that pinch. The other column is business and analysis, opinions and analysis, so I'm not going to mention them, guys. Labour must brace for decisions that are not cost-free or easy, Starmer to say. Plea to the party will come after Downing Street opens the door for tax rises in budget. Labour refuses to rule out manifesto breaking tax rises. Chancellor tells party conference the government cannot ignore the bonds market. UK youth job guarantees may reach 5% of those not in training or work. Those who refuse to take part in government schemes are likely to face sanctions. The Tory UK revenues fall for the first time in 15 years, but partners pay rise. Cost-cutting drive helps shield profits from the big four firms there. Let's have a quick look at the front page of the Financial Times to see what they're saying on the front there. Elon Musk hit by an exodus of senior staff over burnout and politics. I suppose anyone who mentioned about the Charlie Kirk's assassination probably got kicked to the curb there, most likely. Israel's far right hits out on Netanyahu over Gaza deal. Streeting shoots down rumours of VAT on private healthcare. Vance warns US government warns government is heading to a shutdown. Oh wow! I did the Patreon video yesterday, and I generally was expecting the Democrats to not allow it to shut down, but maybe it is going to happen. Maybe the government is finally going to shut down. Toys R Us, bring them back. Where there's chaos, there's opportunity. A new investor swoops on UK high streets. Any other interesting stories here from them? HSBC chair leaves Europe's biggest bank with a leadership vacuum. M&A are still top 1 trillion. YouTube pays $24.5 million to settle Trump's censorship lawsuit. Oh, that's interesting. I hope that's not YouTube bowing to pressure there from Trump. I have to have a look at that story there, guys. How are schools going to silence all those teachers, says Trip. Student unions all over the UK hopefully organising and helping. Meat prices seem to have shot up, says Peter there. I've not seen that rise either, says Pagan. Teachers will need to stand up for trans students, Ellie. Don't have many other voices. Yeah, they can't just ignore the voices in them. They can't ignore the voices. They can't be seen to be discriminate, I think is a good way to put it as well. Let's have a look at the paper here. I might be able to open some of these stories here. Young people to be offered work in pubs and factories or face losing benefits. So they're saying pubs and factories. Again, depends. Every single case is different. Renewal declines Starmer to make choice clear at the Labour conference. I will try if I get. I don't know what time his speech is today, but I do want to listen to it. Exclusive from the government launches Town of Culture competition to promote art outside cities. Oh, that sounds good. UK's Town of Culture programme will run alongside the UK City of Culture scheme set up in 2013. The government will name a UK Town of Culture to showcase British cultural heritage outside of big cities as part of Labour's Levelling Up agenda, the Culture Secretary will announce. Until the party conference at towns are the beating heart of Britain as she unveils a new scheme. At last year's general election, Labour's made sweeping gains. Polls just a party, maybe. The UK Town of Culture programme will run alongside the UK City of Culture, a scheme set up in 2013. It will see one city or urban region given the title every 4 years. Oh, that's good. That's good. They're creating competition there. That's a good thing. Current holder Bradford is hosting high-profile events such as Turner Prize Expedition. In future, towns given the UK Town of Culture designations will be expected to spend 1 year showcasing local cultural heritage, which Labour hopes will create jobs and boost pride in places. Yeah, that's a very good thing. The party said its proposal will result in more local people involved in arts and culture on their doorstep, more opportunities for young people to access creative careers, more investment flowing into towns across the country. Nancy expected to say in the speech that towns are the beating heart of it for the town creativity. That sounds very good. Anything, yeah, that boosts the industry. That's a very good thing there. Any other stories? Let's have a look at the front of the paper here. Let's just go UK specific here. Government scraps Britain is bad campaign to scare away Albanian migrants. Yep, absolutely. That was a stupid thing. Scammers steal identity of real Gaza doctor to trick people out of online donations. Look, if you want to send money towards those in Gaza, do it through official channels, not from individuals asking for money. Just don't, because anyone can claim on a profile with a picture of a Palestinian flag, claiming that they need money and support. Like, it's so easy to fall for that trap. Just don't. Russian anti-Putin protester found dead in London after an asylum bid was rejected. That's horrible. My condolences to friends and family of him. How Tommy Robinson makes his money. Yeah, we know how he makes his money. He talks shit and people pay for it. I can't live with my wife because of visa frauds. I feel like I've been punished. Clashes break out at London March for Israel's hostages in second day of unrest. The Home Office spent £50 million on an asylum centre and not a single migrant stayed there. Why? LGBT Afghans at high risk of torture and murder due to UK data breach. Yep, that's not a surprise, unfortunately. It's horrible, but unfortunately not surprising either. I think some of these stories are quite old as well. So we'll leave that there. Trans people must be supported, otherwise they'll be kicked out or denied homeschool. Parents must protect them. They could become traumatized going to school. Absolutely. We need to protect it. We need to protect all people. We need to protect all different people. You know, not just trans people. You know, non-binary people, people of different religions, people of different faiths, paganism, just as one example, as our friend in the chat as well. Like all these different different people with different backgrounds, religions, and cultures. You know, the United Kingdom is supposed to be a multiculturalism country. You know, and we need to protect all people's respect and protect all people's religions, ideologies. We protect all of them. It adds the transphobes who have kids in school passing down the hate. Data breach assess ID cards. FF's sake. Yeah, I know. That's the thing is that like if it was a data system that was state controlled for ID, I'd be a little bit more comfortable with it. But if you want to put it in the hands of a private company, like especially one like Platineer, that's terrifying. That is so terrifying to me. That's the thing that terrifies me the most. Like, I just don't want them having control. I don't want. I'm sure many of you will agree with me. I don't want a private company having all my information, having all of it. I just don't want it. Like, if it was controlled by state, like, here's a good question I put to you guys, yeah? Here's a good question. If they implement a government ID, right? Let's say the data was controlled by the state. That would mean, you would have to pay a bit more taxes to store it in a state-run data center. Not a private one, but a state one, right? Would you be okay with that? Would you be happy to pay a bit more tax or NI or whatever tax it may be, right? If it meant that everyone had a form of ID and that data was controlled by the state. Obviously, I don't know the details of European countries and how they do it, but I think I think if it wasn't in the control of private companies, my position would probably be a little bit different. I'd be more sitting on the fence rather than being for it. I was bullied in school for my accent. Kids are rotten, and they will pick on any differences. Luckily, I could move as an adult, says person. Yeah, I'm sorry you felt that just because you have an accent, or some people obviously have disabilities because they talk a little bit different, and they're just not even trustworthy. Billy Kershaw says not even a state-run system. Okay, that's fine. Appreciate your view on that. Right, let's have a look at the independent guys. See what they are saying here. So, front of UK politics, Farage may do away with the NHS street in warns doctors live. This is not even please go away, thank you. This is not even rocket science. If you vote for reform, you vote to scrap our National Healthcare Service. People need to know, those who are voting for reform, whatever they say about migrants, they need to be told, how would you feel about paying for your healthcare? How would you feel about going private insurance like in America? I think that is something that people need to apply pressure to when they think about voting reform as well, for all they talk about it. Like imagine saying to them, are you happy to pay for your healthcare? And if they say no, what is they saying? Well, that's what you get if you vote reform. You don't get a national healthcare service anymore. You will have to pay out of pocket. That's what Nigel Farage wants. And anyone who says otherwise, you just show them the video of Nigel Farage saying that we need to move to a private insurance-based system. That's something that can really mess with people who are voting reform. It's because a lot of people who vote reform who are supporting reform based on immigration, they will be vehemently against the loss of the National Healthcare Service, and that's where you can really put a conflict of interest on them there. Parents to get online access to specialists from Comfort Home Streeting says, I'm all for more access through the NHS app. I'm just concerned about data security there. Starmer promising a new NHS online hospital to help cut waiting times. Yep, I've again using more technology to try and mitigate it, whether it's calling or email. Anything that makes things easier for the NHS, I'm all for using more technology. I'm all for that. Some choose my decency over Farage's division. Now, I mean, it sounds good on paper. We'll rally the Labour Party, in a speech today. We'll step up his attacks on Nigel Farage, telling voters Britain faces a historic choice between his decency and the Reform leaders' division. Prime Ministers whose party is trailing around 10 points behind the Reform polls will tell the conference in Liverpool, we can all see our country faces a choice. A defining choice. Britain stands at a fork in the road. what he's going to try and do in his speech, he's going to, and I'm really worried about this, guys. He's going to try and pivot people into basically saying, if you don't vote Labour, you're enabling reform, and that's going to be the language you're going to hear you're going to hear from Labour. If they're still unpopular, you're going to say, "Oh, you don't vote Labour. Oh, if you're not voting Labour, you're enabling reform." That's the language you're going to start hearing from them. And my response to that is fuck you, because I should be entitled to vote. I'm not going to be bullied or coerced to voting for a party I don't at the moment do not have any faith in whatsoever. But I do believe that is what they're going to try and do. They are going to try and coerce parties, people who have moved away from Labour to the Greens, to Lib Dems, and say to them, if you don't vote for us, you're going to get reform. I do believe that's what he's going to. I don't know if he'll make that. I don't know if he'll say that in his speech today, but we'll have to see. Obviously, Starmer's claim to decency is really battered, though. Yeah, unfortunately, because they have had scandals. Unfortunately, Labour. I mean, not as bad as the Conservatives. Let's be clear, but still. What else we got here? Telling Labour who is the real enemy has energised Starmer. Tough talk on migration won't win over Labour, but it may stop. Farage. No, I don't think it will. John Reynolds answers your questions on Labour's future. Reeve signals no plan to go back on. Reeve signals plans to go back on the no tax rise pledge. Yep, he has to go back on it. He doesn't have a choice. Starmer. Yeah, I've covered that story yesterday on Polanski. Any Burnham backs rejoining EU as he hits back at Starmer's on the economy. Let's see, front of UK here. Yeah, London's high street shut down after a huge fight by Odeon Cinema. Okay, so it's not. The cinema itself. Firefighters respond to a large blaze in Beckenham. It's not where I live anymore, but it's not far from where I live. 10 firefighters have called to a fire at the disused kebab shop. Oh, I know that shop. Yeah, on Beckenham High Street. So it's literally the building like round the corner, literally just a few blocks. Yeah, it's literally a few blocks from it. I see. Yeah, that kebab shop has been a bit dodgy. That shop there was always dodgy. We had the scene along with fire brigade driver urged. Okay, thank God it wasn't the cinema. That's a relief. That is a relief. Yeah, it's just a kebab shop. Yeah, I think it was overnight, probably. Early hours of the morning. Was everyone okay? I don't think anyone was hurt from the looks of it. I think they would have put that in their story there. Thankfully, no one has been injured. Yeah, no one's been injured. Yeah. I used to live in that area. I don't live there anymore. But yeah, good. That's a relief. Royal Mail to take over thousands of UK convenience stores. Yep, this is something I've been seeing more and more of. I'm pretty sure a lot of people. I don't know if this is happening in Scotland. You guys can speak for me, but this is happening a lot in England. Royal Mail no longer having their own shops and merging with other shops. So literally down the road where I live, like there's a Royal Mail that's part of a convenience store, which is also in part a Subway shop as well. Like it's a convenience store, Subway, and the post office, all in one building, and you're seeing that a lot there. So yeah, they will hire around 25 temporary workers ahead of Christmas. Yeah, taking over a lot of convenience stores there. Interesting for Christmas time. Yeah. Interesting. Anything else here? Pensioner found dead after huge search at popular beach. Oh my God. Terrible. My condolences, of course. Residents block construction of paddle court due to intolerable noise. Okay. Why you might actually be healthier if you put on weight. Yeah, it depends. Everyone is different. Everyone is different on that there. Let's see what the BBC are saying here, guys. Just a reminder that we go as far as 12 o'clock, And if you guys want to help get me today towards the day Super Jack goal, be greatly appreciated as well. That's already happening in Scotland. My local post office is a shop now, says Alison Keir. Yeah, I mean, it's not like you're... Like, for me, it's like, as long as you're not losing your post office in your area, if it's embedded in with a convenience store or something else, that's a good thing, because at least you've got a post office there that you can go to, rather than, like, I don't know how many people actually come across a post office just on its own. I mean, obviously, they do have the distribution centre still. There's actually a distribution centre that's about a bus away from where I live as well. So there is a distribution centre in the main town, not far from where I live as well. They have a distribution centre, so I could always go there if I want, if for whatever reason the post office is not there as well. So let's see what the BBC are saying. Starmer to say Britain is at a fork in the road. We've seen about one story already. Why Starmer wants to keep talking about Farage, because they want people to know how bad he is. But is it a good thing that we're constantly talking about Nigel Farage? Is it a good thing, or is it not helping here? I didn't realise I didn't switch my screen over there. Blair would help oversee Gaza transition. Going to talk about that later. Labour members call for action on Gaza conflict. MP becomes the first to create himself as an AI bot. I'm pretty sure we touched on this anyway.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm the first AI MP. The bot we created is the first AI MP.
Hi, I'm AI Mark Sewards, Labour MP for Leeds South West and Morley.
What's Mark's favourite restaurant?
Mark enjoys several places to eat in Leeds South West and Morley, including Lucy's Deli, Cafe Nicole's,
That's true.
Slovakia Corner.
Well, when I became a politician, you put posters of yourself everywhere, don't you? You see your name everywhere, you've got pictures of yourself on leaflets. That had an adjustment period. And I have to say, hearing myself answer my own questions, that also had an adjustment period too. What sort of things can you help me with?
I can help you with information about local and national issues affecting Leeds South West and Morley, including Mark's views on various policies, details about his personal and professional background, and any local concerns you'd like to discuss.
We want to be accessible all hours of the day, and it just isn't possible. So if you can come up with a model like this that provides genuinely useful answers to constituents' questions and problems outside of office hours when MPs are typically contactable, then yeah, let's go for it. That's brilliant. Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome. If you need anything else or have any concerns to share, feel free to reach out. I'm here to help.
This is something you may start seeing more and more MPs doing in the future, as a means to take some of the weight load off them. Now, now obviously there was a story in Italy, I think it was Italy or Albania, somewhere in Europe, where basically, I even think it was in Africa, but basically there's a cabinet member who's now basically like Prime Minister or President is using like an AI as one of its cabinet members, which is kind of crazy. But this is something you're going to see more of, because it just takes the workload off them a little bit more. Love the image of your birdie bath trip. This would spin me out low. Like, I do think this does have benefits to a certain extent, especially when it comes to constituents who have questions that you don't really need the MP to help, and it's just a case of the AI bot could be more helpful to it. There will be obviously some questions and things where you need to talk to the MP and not the AI, and not an AI bot about it. So there are benefits to it. There are definitely going to be benefits to it. But my worry is obviously, of course, one of the biggest problems is that it may detach MPs from their constituency. I mean, I know some people will say we're already having that to a certain extent anyway. But anything that kind of helps communication between MPs and constituents, I say, is a good thing. But I do think that there is going to be some setbacks to it. Fit solar panels to pensioners' homes to beat reform, says Labour MPs. Every single home should have a solar panel. End of discussion for me. Scrapping child benefit makes economic sense, Reeves has been told. Maintenance grants there. I think we covered that stories. Though some of these stories are from yesterday that we've already looked at. Let's have a look at the front of UK. I'm going to talk about Blair later. British veterans with hearing loss starts legal battle over faulty earplugs. Excuse me. Thousands of British military personnel started legal action after being given ear protections they say were faulty and led to life-changing injuries such as tinnitus and deafness. U.S. industries giants 3M supplied 3M supplied the Ministry of Defense with the lightweight combat earplugs to use while training in active service in Afghanistan and other countries. In 2023, the company agreed to pay out $6 billion to settle similar claims from 240,000 U.S. servicemen and women. 3 million was not an 3M was said it was not an admission of liability. Its products worked effectively if used properly and was prepared to defend itself in English courts. Former Guardsman Dave Wilson from Warwickshire remembers being given the 3M earplugs while serving in the 1st Battalion Scots Guard from 2007, including a tour in Afghanistan. Anywhere outside of Camp Bastion, we could be using them, sometimes for up to 12 hours a day, he says. Mr. Watson, 38, lost both legs and an arm in an explosion while on patrol in Helmand Province in May 2010, leading to his immediate medical discharge from the army. He has since won 5 medals in the Invictus Games and now works as a motivational speaker for veteran charities. He said he first noticed something was wrong with his hearing around 18 months ago. I wake up in the early hours of the morning with a ringing in my ears, but I couldn't get through the days now, he said. I can't hear when my kids are calling me. I can't hear when my wife is calling me, so it's a big impact on my family life. Last month he went for testing and was told he would need hearing aids for the future, he said. Rates of hearing in veterans under 75 75-year-olds are around 3.5 times higher than the general population, according to a 2014 research from the Royal British Legion. A separate 2021 study of 5,474 military personnel by King's College London found a quarter reported difficult hearing or tinnitus. Tinnitus survives a ringing, pulsing, or other noise in the ear or head. Doesn't come from external sources and is often always present. The MOD has paid out 6,735 damage claims for noise, including hearing loss, since 2019-2020, according to the latest statistics, with a further 520 awards through its separate no false compensation scheme, where claimants don't have to prove negligence. Thousands of British military personnel are now bringing in a separate legal case against 3M for supplying what they say were faulty ear protections between 2003 and at least 2015, where they were replaced by a new model. These combat AO plugs are designed to reversible. Out. So in 2018, the company paid $9.1 million to settle a lawsuit by the US Department of Justice, which alleged the company knew the earplugs were too short and can loosen impunity. 5 years later, in August 2023, agreed to a £6 billion settlement to resolve 240,000 civil cases being brought by US veterans and those still serving. This makes all the sense in the world. If they've taken 2 lawsuits, and done 2 payouts, this company, for US military personnel, civil cases, as well as to the US Department of Justice, it makes all the sense in the world for UK military personnel who use these devices to sue. Absolutely makes all the sense in the world. They have never accepted legal liability, arguing its products are always safe and effective if used correctly. Well, then explain these. Explain these. No, I hope these servicemen, do, who had to use 3M. I hope they do. I hope they do. I hope they win their. I hope they do. They successfully win their case. I really mean that. Like, I mean, if you're paying out not to the U.S. Department of Justice as well as civil servants in the U.S., that kind of gives you gives it away a little bit there. Secret filming exposes dangerous trade in illegal Botox. Oh God. Yeah. Got to stay away from that. Nurses and pharmacists have been putting patients at risk by supplying Botox without proper checks, the BBC undercover investigation has found. Researchers posing as beauticians secretly filmed a nurse trading prescriptions over WhatsApp, a pharmacy coaching client, to falsify records, and a bogus doctor handing over Korean toxins vital for cash. Medical rules requires an in-person consultation, prescription, and check Botox is suitable. Skipping those safeguards raises the risk of complications such as dropping eyelids, headaches, and rare cases of respiratory failure or death. The pharmacy regulator said it was very concerned, while the nurses regulator said it would review the evidence. Yeah, this is very dangerous. Cash in hand as well. It's all cash in hand as well. It's putting people at risk. In particular, women, obviously, of course. That's stories there from the BBC. Let's have a look. Got Sky News here. Got about three more pages to look at here. Starmer to warn country faces choice, which we've seen already. Minister clarifies violence against women and girls strategy after Sky News report. Sky News revealed a Home Office document hide our draft definition of VAWG, said child sexual abuse and exploitation is not explicitly within the scope of its strategy. Why not? Is my question. Child safety organisations have welcomed the government's thinking again on including child abuse victims on its violence against women and girls strategy following the Sky News report. Jess Phillips, the Minister for Safeguarding Violence Against Women and Girls, has written to charities to tell them children who experience child sexual abuse or exploitation are considered the new VAWG strategy. In a letter, Ms Phillips said he hopes the letter clarifies the government's position. Comes after 10 organisations raised concerns with the government after Sky News published a draft Home Office document that said child sexual abuse and exploitation was not explicitly within the scope of the strategy. Anna Nielsen, head of the NSPCC, told Sky News, "We're hopeful that the words of the minister's letter shows that they are thinking again and making sure that they can draw out really clear links between tackling VAWG and tackling child sexual abuse. But the proof will be in the pudding. That's why we want to see the final strategy. The strategy has been delayed and expected to be published later in the autumn." Well, hope so. You know, Jess Phillips has been on this something for a long, long time, and she's someone that really is putting her heart and soul into this. And she is someone that I'm more trustworthy on. I'm definitely someone that is the right person in the right job, for this, Jess Phillips, because she's been covering this long before, long before being in opposition as well. I'm pleased to have seen the government stress the concerns we have raised. Kerry Smith, Chief Executive of Internet Watch Foundation, told Sky News. We're at the front line to see how our girls bear the brunt of sexual violence on and offline. We need to see strategy itself published in full. The sooner it can become a reality, the better. Yeah. Rape Crisis, which is one of the largest support of its kind, welcome what they called a shift in position from the government to now acknowledging that child victims of sexual abuse and exploitation will be included, adding what is needed is concrete commitments. An estimated 500,000 children are sexually abused in England and Wales every year. Last month, Sky News spoke to Papa Uri, who was raped by her grandfather when she was 4. Yeah, let's hope. I do hope the strategy comes out soon, so that they can take the necessary action, and that charities and organisations working alongside can do their part in helping as much as they can. The government get these perpetrators and put them behind bars. We want to see violence. We want to see the violence against these people put to a stop. That's for sure. Bridget Phillipson receives no deputy leader nominations as Unite accused of process stitch-up. Ooh. Missed that story. Lucid Power supporters claim that the meeting was set up to favour no nominations, but Unite said everything was concluded in line with its rules. Bridget Phillipson secured no endorsement from Unite members from the Labour deputy leadership, Sky News can reveal, as the union faced accusations of stitching up the nomination process. The union opted not to back a candidate despite there being votes for Lucy Powell, but none from Miss Phillipson. Minutes of the nomination meeting showed. Ooh. Sky News spoken to 2 members of Unite's Executive Council who decided on the nomination process when it met on the 22nd of September, who believed it was set up in favour of no nominations, a stance that is preferred by Sharon Graham, the General Secretary. Ms Graham has frequently spoken to the possibility of Unite disaffiliation with Labour. At the weekend, she renewed that threat, telling Sky Mills that time is getting close. Yeah, well, you're still in bed with Labour. Do I like the Hardy Boys? I'm not as fan as much as I used to be of them. That's a wrestling question in case anyone's asking what Angry Pagan is asking me. Andy Green, a chair of Unite's Executive Council, told Sky News categorically that Labour's decision not to nominate any candidate for deputy leader power was taken in full coordination with the rules of the union. Minutes of the Executive Council meeting seen by Sky News showed that while 22 members voted for Ms Powell, who was sacked as Commons leader in Keir Starmer's most recent reshuffle, no members had supported her rival, the Education Secretary. Oh dear. Does sound a little bit fishy, doesn't it, guys? It does sound a little bit fishy. Indeed. They are not stealing your jobs. Britain's asylum seekers, capital divisions as tension rise. Kill them all. Let God sort them out. We want our country back. Yeah, these are definitely British people who have concerns, don't they? With flags like those two. I think it's quite distasteful that they put the Scottish flag there as well. Would have made more sense for an English flag. I'm not going to get into that discussion. 125 jobs to go at Lindsay Oil Refinery's ministers accused of being a tinned errand. Hurricane Haribo and Amelia to bring heavy rains and strong winds to Scotland. So that's the storm we saw on the weather app. Humbertigo. That's what's coming later on in the week, guys. Boyzone to reunite. I'm sure everyone in the chat is excited about that story. Minister clarifies violence against women and girls strategy. Just mentioned that. My 1,200 Samsung TV broke within 2 years when they won't give me any money back. Did you take out insurance on it? Per the Consumer Right Act. That's a money problem question there. Depends is what I will say on that. I think there is a question to be answered there on that guy's case. That's for sure. I thought it was something to do with the electricity or power for TV, etc. So trip. My balance is off too. Over the years, I've managed to compensate almost acrobatic. What's that? Trip set off. I'm surprised Starmer knows what decency is. Maybe he's meant a decency. So it's not the sound of God or aliens or another trip inside me that the world's smallest whistle, or I'm not a werewolf. I haven't seen any red moon, so I think you'll be all right. Critical Thinking Cap, good to see you there. Hope you are doing well. The only song I can remember of theirs is Trip as well. Just reminder, got about 7 minutes, but we've still got two to look at here, guys. So we'll start with the Guardian here. I say start with the Guardian. I'm losing it today. Streeting praises health staff for overseas and safe reform UK would be a disaster for the National Healthcare Service. Yes, it would. Saying the right things there. Retailers say tax rises could further fuel inflation as shop prices jump. Again, I've not experienced it personally, but some people may say differently. Keir Starmer to announce NHS online hospital to help cut waiting times. I mentioned that. Like I said, more technology I think is a good thing. Labour to tackle care sector crisis in England with pay increases and new negotiating body. But are you making the fundamental changes that the Liberal Democrats have been kicking and screaming about when it comes to the care sector? Western to put £500 million behind initial raise, but unions say substantially more investment will be needed. Care workers in England are to receive a substantial pay increase from 2028 after the creation of a new body of trade unions and employees designed to stem the exodus of workers from the sector by improving wages and conditions. This is a good thing. The Health Secretary West Streeting will put £500 million behind the initial increase and will begin this year to establish a new negotiating body which will create a fair pay agreement. However, the unions have warned that the future pay increases will need substantially more investment. This is a good start. More needs to be done, but this is a very good start. The move was promised as part of a new slender measures in Labour's Workers' Right package intended to create better pay and working conditions in the struggling care sector, where low pay and insecure work have led to a recruitment crisis. Yeah, one of the problems has been wages. You need to increase the wages, so this is very good stuff. The final increase will be negotiated by the body, first of its kind in the country, with the budget set by government also used to improve conditions at work. Care workers are not expected to feel the benefits of the change for several years, so it's still going to be a while for this to happen, and reform could just blow it out of the water, unfortunately. After the employment bill passes Parliament, there will be a consultation on the new pay body, which will be formally convened next year. He will conduct the negotiations in 2027 so that pay and condition improvements come into force the following year. It is hoped that enhanced pay and conditions will improve retention in the sector, where a vacancy rate of nearly 10% is expected to be exacerbated by a crackdown on visas for overseas care workers. Both employers and trade unions will sit on the new body. Its recommendations will be applicable across the sector for private and public sector workers. The cash will come from $4 billion allocated in the spending review to adult social care. Streeting will say at the Labour Club of Confidence that the government will no longer accept a system built on poverty pay and zero-hour insecurity. This sounds good. It sounds very good, and I generally hope that does help the care sector. I really do mean that sincerely. GPs in England threaten action over online booking appointments plan there. Doctors Union says GPs will be overwhelmed by triage tsunami to give ministers 48 hours to take the measures. GPs in England are threatening to take action over government plans to increase patient online access to appointments, which they say will lead to a tsunami of extra demands. Ministers have been given 48 hours to put in place measures to stop GPs being overwhelmed when the new system intended to help patients beats the 8 a.m. scramble start on Wednesday. The British Medical Association has agreed to deal with NHS England and the Department of Health and Social Care in February that will let patients request an appointment with a family doctor using online booking between 8 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. on Monday, from Monday to Friday. The Doctors' Union claim ministers have broken a promise that made then to implement a necessary safeguards before October the 1st to ensure that patients only sought non-urgent consultations online. The BMA says the extension of digital booking to everyone will overload GPs and risk patient safety. The chair of the BMA's GP committee, Dr. Kate Barnwell, said that the introduction of the system will likely lead to the creation of a hospital-style waiting list in general practice. The union also says the move will lead to family doctors being able to see fewer patients face-to-face because they will be too busy accessing the all-day stream of requests for a consultation. On Monday, it gave the DHSC 48 hours to implement the safety measures promised in February as part of a new annual GP contract. The BMA could stage a ballot for GPs to take industrial action, such as listing the number of patients they see. An unknown number did so last year and early this year over changes to their contracts that they were opposed to. Quote, online systems currently cannot be distinguished between non-urgent and urgent patient queries. And with practices already understaffed and overworked, GPs fear this could lead to potentially serious and life-threatening problems being delayed or missed entirely, the BMA has said. Doctors will need to be reallocated away from booking appointments to manage the potential online triad tsunami, leading to fewer GP appointments with patients. Graham's going to try and go live during Starmer's speech. What time is the speech? Can someone tell me what time is the speech? That'd be greatly appreciated. Sorry if someone already said it. If someone could say it in the chat, I'd appreciate it. I might watch it from Graham's perspective. Might. With a big might. He does tend to talk over, though. That's the only thing. But in terms of this, obviously, I don't want to see doctors getting overwhelmed. Got about a minute left. Let's have a look at the front of The Guardian. The last piece is Byline Times. We'll have a quick browse on Byline Times as well. Tata bought slabs from rival British Steel as it sought to beat Trump's tariff plans. Good. Yep. Anything that gets off Trump's tariff plans is a good thing. Nothing to link Banbury gang rape to migrant accommodation, police say. They have to say that. Thames Valley Police said any speculation is unfounded and unhelpful as they investigate weekend attack. Yeah. There is no information linked to the rape of a woman by a group of men in a Banbury churchyard to migrant accommodation, police have said in an attempt to quell online speculation. Yeah, this is. I'm glad this came out because I think yesterday we kind of looked at this. Tad looked at this a little bit. The woman who was in her 30s was raped by a group of men in the grounds of St Mary's Church surrounding area of Banbury Town. One of the officers said was reportedly a white man. The force has said. Are Reform UK going to condone this action? Are the Reform UK going to say anything about this? Are we going to hear anything from Reform, from Nigel Farage, from their MPs about this story? In a later statement, the force said, we are aware of speculation circulating regarding the possibility of ethnic background or origins of the individuals connected to this incident. At this stage, we have no further verified description of those involved, and any assumptions being made are unfounded and unhelpful to the investigation. So it's entirely possible they could be white British people, but obviously Reform would be very upset if that's the case. 2 p.m. Thank you, guys. Thank you for telling me, guys. Appreciate it. Remember, if they're of a certain skin color, they'll take advantage of the situation. I know it's 12 o'clock, but let's just have a quick look before we go on Byline Times. Can I just have a quick look at Byline Times' headlines here? What stories they have? Blue Labour and the Till effect. I did a premiere video on the weekend of that if you guys want to see that. Peter Till's Race Science Network extends its reach into Reform UK Conservatives and Labour. Yeah, Peter Till's getting his hands into the Labour Party as well. You should be concerned by that. Updates on these attack lines that could hurt Nigel Farage's Reform UK hardest. Reform UK's crypto donations. Reform a far bigger threat than the BNP, says UK leading anti-racism campaigner there. Some Labour in Power ones. The Conservative government one, which you covered yesterday as well. And that's some of the stories that are from Byline Times, guys. So we have reached the end of... cut out, thank you. Reached the end of the show here. I read someone who knows dance, Stephen Baker says. 2 p.m. Storm speech. Yeah. Okay. It'll probably be somewhere online, most likely as well. Guys, I just want to say massive thank you to everyone who's come along. Thank you guys for all your comments. Thank you, Peter, for the £2 super chat. So it wasn't entirely because I don't monetize my live stream, so that's why as well, guys, in case. So thank you, Peter. So I actually earned something from today's live stream, which is as well, which is very much appreciated. Thank you guys for all coming along as well. Much appreciated. I'll be back live in 6 hours' time with global news, as we'll be talking about news from outside the UK. We'll definitely be touching on Tony Blair, the Trump and Netanyahu deal, and that as well as some other stories outside the UK. So do join me at 6 o'clock if you can join me for that. Feel free to do so as well. And if you can't join me for that live stream, I'll be back again tomorrow at 11 a.m. for another Good Morning show. As far as I'm aware, there's no Prime Minister's questions tomorrow, so I'll leave it at that. And I'll obviously be lurking on Max's live stream and possibly maybe even Graham's later on as well. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your day, whatever you guys are doing. If you can on your way out, hit the like button, share this across social media, subscribe if you haven't already. Check out Rumble and Patreon content as well down in the description, guys. There's going to be content dropping on them. 12 o'clock every day, Monday to Friday. I've got news on America on Patreon and news on the Middle East on Rumble. So do check out those links if you can as well. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.